Welcome to Timelines. Today we have Stephen on, and Stephen is coming to us from Colorado. And first of all, we always ask Stephen, give us something, tell us something that's going to grab the listener's attention.
Yeah, sure, Bill. Thanks for having me on the show. Something to grab the listener's attention is that really just a few years ago, I was over $100,000 in debt. I had a business that failed and I couldn't even pay my rent, but those were some of the best lessons I ever learned when running a business.
I'm going to go deeper into that. That's pretty tough. You couldn't pay your rent. And I know a little bit of background. You had a mortgage company, correct?
Correct.
And basically it collapsed. The whole industry collapsed. A lot of people felt your pain. I come from the building industry, real estate, so a lot of good people got hurt real bad. So tell us how you got out of that, what you did. I mean, not paying your rent is critical. So you have to have friends, family. What do you do?
Yeah, I mean, so I owned a mortgage company. It was my first kind of real business with a lot of staff and an actual office and all that kind of stuff. And I was pretty young. I mean, I was like 24, 25 when I started that business. And so I didn't have a lot of real business experience. And so I didn't know really to look ahead as far as I should have. But so in 2008, when we all know what happened in 2008 in that industry, it essentially just shut off over pretty much overnight, and ended up holding the bag with over $100,000 in debt. Overnight, had no income. Really didn't have enough savings. We'd kind of grew the company on some debt, but we were making enough income to where we weren't carrying it for long. But you're carrying over $100,000 in debt, and then overnight income shuts off. It's not a fun thing. So actually, I was living with a buddy at the time, and he essentially let me stay there for about 3 months rent free until I got a job making $20,000 a year doing sales for a data recovery company, which was it was interesting going from making money to knowing what it's like to live on $20,000 a year as my actual salary.
It's definitely a different mindset. That's absolutely for sure. What do you think the two different mindsets are? That having your own business and actually working for somebody, since you've gone back and forth. Well, one thing I can say was when you have your own business, you work all the time. At least I found that out.
Yeah, I mean, I think the different mindset is, for me at least, was when I was working for somebody else, it was exactly that. I was working to help somebody else achieve their goals and their dreams. And so it wasn't really that fun for me. I enjoyed aspects of it because I had a little bit of control over what I could do within the company that I worked for. But I'm helping somebody else achieve their dreams and goals. And I think a lot of business owners don't get how to help their staff achieve their goals. So a lot of businesses aren't that fun to work with or to work at. And as an entrepreneur, you work a lot, but to me, work is fun and fun is work. So like, I wake up on Monday morning. I mean, I can't wait to get to the office. I can't wait to get my week started. I wake up on Saturday, I do a little bit of work, I go have a little bit of fun. But on the flip side of that, if it's Tuesday and I'm burnt out, or I just need a break, I go take a break on Tuesday. You
Right.
work and play.
But by the way, this is the day after Memorial Day. It's the 31st. So we're all behind a day. We just had a nice 3-day weekend. And I played a little bit yesterday, but it's true. We work all the time. Even days I play, we're still working, doing something.
Yeah, or you're at least you're always thinking. You mentioned that you were hiking. I'm sure your mind is going through stuff as you're hiking, like, oh wow, that could be a really good idea, or that your brain solves problems when you're kind of giving it some space and some free time.
I've learned so much. I've been in on and off in marketing and media because of our businesses. I've worked in our family business in the marketing side. And you heard that magic hour. I was on top of a hill yesterday, and we caught the magic hour. It's hard to explain. It's that time when the sun is just right before, as the sun comes up in the morning and the evening. And it just hit beautiful pictures last night. And that's what this business is all about: good visuals and imagery, and using all our new modern tools we have.
Yeah.
I even flipped one up on YouTube, Google Plus, and from that location. So get some pretty good SEO off of that, believe it or not, if we tie it back into our business.
Cool.
Hey, so tell us about, why'd you go in mortgage? What brought you into that business?
Yeah, so I went into mortgage. I just kind of fell into it. I was tired of doing what I was doing. I worked as a liquor distributor for a year or two, and it wasn't a long-term thing for me. And so I had a friend that was in mortgages. He said there was money in it. I was like, cool. It's kind of like being a business owner because you're commissioned, so you get to work as much as you want, and I would have been, or I was responsible for my income. And then I started with a mortgage company, met a mentor there that ended up starting his own mortgage company and said, hey, do you want to come with me? I said, yeah, let's do this. And then over the course of maybe 6 or 8 months, when I went with him, he started paying me in ownership. So by the time it was all said and done, we were 50-50 partners in that business.
Yeah, in real estate, we've looked at that same thing. I was designing an office where the agents bought up to 40% of it, 3 teams in each office. I'm a big team believer in real estate, if you've watched real estate.
Yeah.
And anyway, interesting business. So you had some background, you got some mentoring, and you got into it. And I'll tell you what, it was some good money back then. It's just it crashed and totally died. That I see the one thing is you just didn't have that runway you needed to stay in there, because if you could stay in there, you'd still make money today in the mortgage business.
Yeah, I definitely didn't. I didn't have the knowledge to look ahead that far in a business. So I'm really happy that I had that experience. I'm really happy I had that experience when I was young and as one of my first businesses, because I think if I would have started my journey older in business, I might not have persisted through it. If I was much more kind of towards the end of my entrepreneur lifestyle or life cycle, it probably would have been a little bit different if I was, in my 70s.
Okay, Stephen. So that said, you basically got into this business. How did you transition into where you are today?
Yeah, so into the digital marketing world. When we owned the mortgage company, we were doing well, and we said, okay, cool, we got to have a website, right? Because in mid 2000s, it was cool, and you had to have a website. So we spent like $5 or $6 grand, which at the time was, that was a pretty hefty website back then, and it looked beautiful. We're like, oh my gosh, we're going to take over the country with mortgages in our niche. And I remember the day we turned it on, we're like, all right, we're going to flip this thing on, and we're just going to start getting leads from everywhere. So we flipped it on, and it's like crickets for days and weeks. And so after doing some research and learning more about this thing called Google, we learned about SEO, which is search engine optimization. And it's essentially how to get your website to show up in front of people that need it when they're searching online through like Google. And so over the course of a couple of years, I just learned SEO. We hired somebody for about 3 months, and then I realized, wow, I got this, I can do it. So I started doing it on my own. And that's how I really learned digital marketing and web design and conversion and those types of things. And so when the mortgage company imploded and crashed, I went and took my little job making 20 grand a year. And a few months after, I took on 1 or 2 clients to help them with their web presence, thinking, okay, cool, I can make $500 a month here, or maybe $1,000 a month, and can actually afford to take my girlfriend to somewhere nice other than McDonald's.
Who are your first clients? What were they? What type of people were they?
Yeah, that's a great question. So the first client was a very small heating, like HVAC company. So it was a service business. And then our second client was a really large commercial roofing company. And
it's good. Along those construction lines, those are great lines. So were you building the website as well as helping with the SEO?
We did. Yeah, we were doing that. So those first 2 clients came with websites already built. So we just made a couple changes based on conversion and what little we knew at the time as how to do that. But and then we really started work with SEO. And a couple years later, I realized that we had to bring web design in-house, because most developers just didn't know how to build for conversion and speed and things that we as users can't necessarily see, but matter to search engines. So we finally just brought web development in-house.
Yeah. Hey, one of our side businesses, we do a lot of mail, and this is political season. So busy doing mail. And that's the same thing. We brought the design, ability to do it quickly, because you can modify it quickly when you're going back and forth with, we're putting together folks who, in the political realm, we have to talk about spin, polling, and getting data and getting this timely mail. We turn around mail in 3 days to get into the mail.
Wow.
We got 43,000 going out right now today. It's going to be 23,000.
Wow.
So pieces to highly targeted voters who are going to vote in the Nevada election. But anyway, I can understand you got to bring some stuff in. You got to do something in the marketing side. So you're really a marketing organization too.
Correct.
That's good. Very, very good story. Hey, were those first folks on WordPress? I hope those first vendors. Those
Oh,
first
geez. You know what? They weren't. I mean, so that was 2009. So if I remember correctly, one was just, I mean, hand built like HTML.
Yeah.
And then I think the other one was Joomla or Drupal.
Yeah. Well, WordPress. We think we're WordPress fans here.
I agree. That's what we build on now.
Great SEO platform. Hey, so that said, we're going to go to a break. And at the break, folks, if you want to come over to Timelines of Success or Timelines Podcasts, you can find this episode with Stephen. And it'll probably be around 260 somewhere. And you can watch behind the scenes. And we're going to look at his websites for a couple minutes on break. Okay, we're on break. So
Okay.
let's just pull up your websites and glance at those. And this is my own concept. It actually does draw people in. And hi out there, listeners. So we're going to present to everyone. This is your older website, you said, but it's a very nice looking website, very modern.
Yeah, so this is our current company website. We built that. That's about 2 years old with minimal, actually really no updates, as you can probably pick out one or two little things. But yeah, we built it responsive. We saw what everything was happening with mobile. Luckily, before the big algorithm updates hit. But yeah, it works. I mean, it's very simple. It converts. It gets people's attention, and it tells them the basics of what we do.
For 2 years ago, I mean, this is it's still a very good website. I mean, it's a cutting edge, modern, fast website. Faster than heck. What are you using for a host?
We actually just switched everything over to, I'm going to say it wrong because we just went through so many of them. DigitalOcean.
Oh, DigitalOcean, man, they're amazing.
Yeah, so we use DigitalOcean, and then we manage our own. We manage our own
cPanel.
Yeah. So we.
Oh yeah, we don't think the average person should be on DigitalOcean.
I agree.
Once you get up and going, do you help your clients with DigitalOcean?
We do. So we offer hosting for relatively inexpensively, and then we make sure that we just make sure that our servers are nice and clean. They run fast. It's made a big impact. Even from an SEO standpoint, it makes a big impact.
That's why I said this is so fast. DigitalOcean. I mean, it costs a few dinero, but the average person could probably start on SiteGround or someplace like that. But once you start going, get into DigitalOcean. Yeah, it's a little bit more work, but sure, it's stable once it's in place. Yeah. So here's your next website. I assume it's on DigitalOcean also.
It is. It is. So that's Business Revolution. That's my podcast website. The objective of this site is to one, share the podcast with people, but to just help business owners figure out shortcuts to what's going on. I mean, anything that I've learned or anything that any of the guests on the podcast have learned that can potentially cut the learning curve for entrepreneurs, that's really what I'm trying to accomplish there on Business Revolution.
Looks like you got Pat Finn's Player, and you did pretty much figured this out on your own. Congratulations on the podcasting.
Yeah, thanks. One of my mentors told me that I should start a podcast, and before my brain told me all the reasons why I can't do it and shouldn't do it, I just started it. And then once I started it, I was like, oh crap, I got to keep it going now.
Podcasts are fun. And there's no reason you're probably using Libsyn, I would guess, for a media host.
The producer's actually trying to create some new stuff around Amazon hosting.
Oh, yes.
So we host on Amazon, and they're building out their own analytics platform and all this other stuff. So
very good. There's pros and cons. Libsyn is so inexpensive. For $5 a month, you can keep it in place. And but this is good. And beautiful site. So tell us about your site a little bit more. Business Rev.
I built it for conversion. I built it to be easy for people to find what they're looking for. So the podcast, and then we do short little videos where I'll do kind of like I call them Ask the Expert videos. And so I'll send somebody that's an expert in a field a short little selfie video, and then they'll send me back their answer. So now it's just a creative way to pull information from experts to where you can actually see them via video, but they're really short. They're generally between 3 and 4 minutes long. And so now you have the ability to grab knowledge from somebody that maybe you probably wouldn't have had access to, or even if you're friends with them on social media, they probably never would have answered a question like that.
Very good. So we're going to come back off the break, a couple seconds of silence. Okay, Stephen, coming off the break, for those who missed it, go on to Podcaster's Home or Timelines of Success and check out the behind the scenes at about 10 minutes, and you get to see Stephen's website, but we'll also send you there too. We'll have the links at the podcast to get you there. But hey, Stephen, interesting discussion. I wish we had more time, but we're going to go into your life and success principles.
Okay.
And I'm going to go ahead and read them out here. So the first thing you said is monitor your minutes. Wow. Monitor your minutes.
Yeah. So monitor your minutes. It's kind of a mantra that we have, that I have personally, and that we've ingrained as part of the culture of our company. And it's because so many people, and I used to be very guilty of this, we don't realize the power of a minute. And I mean, within 1 minute, think about all the things we can actually do. I mean, we can say yes to something, we can say no to something, we can start a project. I mean, you could probably write or respond to 2 emails in a minute. But yet we kind of throw minutes around like they're nothing. I mean, it's almost like walking down the street and you see a penny, and you have to decide, is it even worth bending over to pick that up? And I think that's how a lot of people treat their minutes. And then at the end of the day or the week or the year, they think, well, geez, if I only had more time. But you have the time, you have it in these minutes that you're missing. And so I challenge anybody listening to pay attention to what you're doing with your minutes. Think about it from a standpoint of somebody walks up to you at the water cooler and says, hey, you got a minute? You're like, oh yeah, a minute. I got nothing better to do right now, when really you have 75,000 better things to do. So really protect those. I mean, we have 1,440 minutes in a day. How are you protecting your minutes? And what are you doing with those minutes that's going to get you one step closer to achieving your goals, and why it is you're doing the things that you're doing?
That is intense. And one thing I was going to ask you, and you sort of led into it here, is being an entrepreneur, one of the traps is people don't manage their time well, or they don't have the discipline to do what needs to be done because they're not being told what to be done, needs to be done.
Yeah, I mean, so monitoring your time and just paying attention to your time. So kind of to specifically answer what you mentioned, is they don't always necessarily know what to do. So clarity is huge. You got to get clear on what you want and what direction you're going. And only then can you start to kind of reverse engineer what actions are you need to take to do that. So I wrote something called a vivid vision. I took it from Cameron Herold, who wrote a book called Double Double. But it's basically it's a 3-year vision, or it's a vision of what your company will look like in 3 years. And so now you have this vision of what it's going to look like. Now you start to reverse engineer that. And now every day and every week what it is you need to be doing. And here's the other thing too, because I've talked to a lot of entrepreneurs, especially within the podcast, that say, oh, I don't know what to do. I kind of call BS a little bit on that. You know what you need to be doing for the most part, or at least you have an idea of what the most important thing that you're aware of right now to do. So at least do that thing until you figure out something better to do.
You know what I find in the digital world, and you've learned to build WordPress websites and you've gotten the nuts and bolts, but it actually takes, I believe, longer than people estimate to do some of those things. They don't put enough time aside to get that great website, or if they don't have the time, enough money to find the right agency to run their website. You see that as a truth?
Yeah, 100%. It takes time to build websites. I mean, our average build time is about 90 days. Mm-hmm. And I mean, we have a team of 3 people working on your website, keeping it on track. And that's still difficult sometimes to get done within 90 days. And then the other thing is people forget, or a lot of entrepreneurs, I think, forget how important your website is nowadays. I mean, that is your storefront. Like 20 years ago, when your actual brick and mortar storefront was your storefront, you wouldn't just put up a sign that kind of said anything. You'd put some thought into it. And people think of websites as these like disposable quick things now, but you've got to put time into what that message is. What's the brand that you're getting in front of people?
You can learn to blog in a weekend and run a simple WordPress site But to build a first-class site, you're talking $10,000. It's
Yeah.
hard to explain how to translate that and get that into people's minds. They have to learn the hard way, I guess, and go out and try to do it or do it cheap.
Yeah. Yeah. You need somebody that has experience with helping guide you through the process to get the information that you know about your business onto the website. And that's your difference between a $2,000 or $4,000 site and a $10 or $15 or $20,000 site. Most of the time, it's not necessarily the design skill. It's, do they have the knowledge to gather the proper information and ask the best questions, and then make that work for you and figure out how to make it give you an ROI.
People don't know what they need, and
Yeah.
they get creep too on their project. That as they learn, they realize they need more things, and they didn't understand that early on. So it's really art. So I can relate to what you're doing.
Yeah.
So mentors and coaches is number 2.
Yeah, mentors and coaches. I mean, pretty much within our world, our entrepreneurial world, outside of things maybe like Uber and spaceships and stuff like that, most of the ideas that we're working on as businesses have already been done before. So find a mentor and find a coach to help you get to at least get through the initial steps way faster. I mean, don't struggle through stuff that somebody's already done. Find somebody and model them. I mean, Tony Robbins talks about it all the time, modeling. Find somebody that's done what you want to do and model how they got there. And then just always kind of think about, how do you put your own unique spin on it? Because even though somebody's doing what you're doing, nobody is the same as you. You're 100% unique. So just kind of keep putting your unique spin on it. But you don't need to reinvent the wheel. I own a digital marketing agency. I don't need to recreate the whole industry from the ground up. Take what the great guys are doing out there, and then just add my area of expertise, or add the little skills or the uniqueness that we've created as a company.
Very good. Number 3 is health. What's health
mean? Don't wait for your health. So many entrepreneurs will say things like, okay, I'm going to just work really hard this year, or this 2 or 3 years, or, God forbid, this 5 years or 10 years, and then I'll worry about my health. What I learned over time is that if you let your health kind of slack early on, you're never going to be as fast and as productive and reach your goals as quick as you would like to. So take advantage of your health now, or take advantage of the ability to do something about your health now, and don't wait.
There are professions that are difficult on your health, whatever they might be in lifestyle. But in the digital world, what are some of the health dangers?
I mean, the health dangers, it's you sit at a desk all day. Everything we do is digital. So until they invent, some sort of a TV screen that runs in front of you when you're running down a trail and you can actually read it, you have to be really cautious. You can end up sitting in front of a desk all day. You can get caught up in a project, order bad food in. So you need to pay, we have to pay close attention. I mean, you'll see me or my staff getting up and doing push-ups and squats and just doing something to move and get your blood flowing during the day.
I am 110% with you. I think there's a health risk with our business, and that's it right now. It's getting so ingrained and so focused on your mind that you're not taking care of your body.
Yeah. And a lot of entrepreneurs will use it as an excuse. They say like, oh, okay, well, I'm going to work really hard this year and then I'll worry about my health. In my opinion, that's an excuse. It's
good advice. You'll get more done if you work on your health and work on your business and your finances. Those 3 things. Maybe relationships too. Who knows?
Yeah, I agree.
Circle of influence.
Circle of influence. You've probably heard the quote. I think it was Jim Rohn, or maybe Jim got it from Zig Ziglar, but you become the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with. So take a hard look around. Who are you spending the most time with? What are those 5 people that are always around you? And when you take the average of them, is that where you want to be? So you have to constantly pay attention to who's your circle of influence. And you have to be okay letting people fall off the bottom of your circle of influence. And you have to be willing to be a little uncomfortable to continually put people in the top of your circle of influence that will challenge you and pull you up. Just like working out. I mean, it's uncomfortable for a little while, but then your muscles start to grow and you start to become stronger. Same with people. It's really uncomfortable to hang out with new people sometimes that maybe are way more successful than you. but that's how you constantly grow. So you got to really pay attention to your circle of influence.
Now, in that circle of influence, they say 5, like Jim wrote, but it's times have changed since he said that. Now we've got this digital world where you can have friends online who I actually consider friends, and then you have your old type friends, and you have your friends in your community. So how do you balance all that out?
That's actually a really great point that until you said it, I've never thought about it, but it makes perfect sense when you said it. We're influenced by so many people around us in all the different social media worlds. And not too long ago, one of my friends said something about Facebook. They're like, man, Facebook is just so negative. And I said, really, I don't understand. I couldn't even comprehend it. I said, well, here's what I see. So I showed him my Facebook wall and feed.
Right.
And, I mean, it's everybody. It's like successful entrepreneurs that are driving and all these quotes that people are putting up. I'm like, Facebook is like my favorite place to go in the morning because it pumps me up to do great things. And so from a digital perspective, it's the same thing. You've got to monitor who your circle of influence is and let those other people fall off. So stop liking and agreeing with these people that are complaining about how hard it is. And the Facebook algorithm will take care of them. You don't even have to break up with them. They'll just stop showing them to you.
Facebook brought in almost $4 billion last year.
It's crazy.
That's huge.
Yeah.
They're doing something right.
I agree. I mean, they're showing people what they really want to see. So, I mean, if you're seeing a bunch of negative stuff, chances are you're somehow in some way asking for that to be shown to you. So if you're the person that's seeing it, maybe you need to take a look in the mirror and make sure that you're putting out the positive stuff. Make sure you're attracting the people that you want to hang around.
By the way, we have an open Podcasters Home group that is an open group that anyone can post their podcasts and get feedback, things of that nature. So every night, that's the last thing I do. I go up and look at that site and do a little bit of editorializing and writing, and it's fun. Yeah, I like Facebook. It's good. It's a good thing to do. Just don't let it take over your life either.
There you go. Yeah, monitor your minutes.
Yeah. So relentless is your 5th, and that's the last one.
Yeah, relentless. I mean, I've owned a couple businesses. I failed. I mean, yes, technically it's a failure because it went out of business, the mortgage company. But however, it's some of the best lessons I ever learned in business. So it's difficult to call a failure, but it helps resonate with people. And the only reason that I was able to take that from what it was to what I'm now doing is just being relentless. I mean, just absolute faith in knowing that I will succeed in whatever it is that I'm reaching for. And I truly believe that the universe, in whatever way you want to think about that, is programmed for good. It's programmed for success. And the only way that we can't have that is if we get in our own way. So you've got to just be relentless. You've got to be willing to learn from every mistake or from every you call it a negative experience, but I call them opportunities. Learn from every opportunity and then just continue to be relentless. Just wake up the next day moving towards your goals and focus only on on where you're going and not where you've been.
Stephen, with that, we're going to take a quick break and we're going to come back and find out how the listener can get a hold of you. And one last question.
All right.
Okay, Stephen, we're coming back off the break, and I forgot to tell you that if you like, you get to do a commercial here. Give us a commercial about your business and how the listener can get a hold of you.
Cool. So I have 2 ways that people can get a hold of me. I love just talking about business, whether it's digital marketing related or just entrepreneurship in general related. So you can email me, Stephen, STEPHEN, at sequus.com, SEEQUS.com. On the digital marketing agency website, on the homepage, we have a free website evaluation tool, and it'll just give you some feedback about what's going on in your site. How fast is it loading? It'll even give you some where you rank for 2 of your primary keywords. It'll tell you if you have some poor backlinks. It gives you a lot of information about your site. You can just check that out on the homepage of sequus.com. And then for my podcast, Business Revolution, you can find that at bizrevolution.com. We have all kinds of cool little stuff on there. You can sign up if you want, if you're interested in hearing the podcast. And then we're actually, by the time this airs, there will be a download for a daily tracker. So I track everything that I do each day, and it's one of the things that's really helped me. So you can download that as well if you're interested.
Well, this may air in the next 2 days, so
It'll be there. It'll be there. It's going to be done. It's actually almost, it's like right in front of me. The last touches are going on today, so it'll be there.
I can say this is a really good show. Hey, one last question. I always like to ask one last question. So you're in Denver, correct?
Correct.
Are you from Denver originally?
From Florida. I've been in Denver for 12 years now.
Oh, really? You go to school in Florida? What part of Florida?
I did. I went to school at University of Florida, and I grew up in Pensacola.
Oh, Pensacola. Okay. Very good. My son's born in Dothan, Alabama, went to Navy flight school there.
Oh, yeah.
I didn't. My son did, but
very familiar with that.
Was at Rucker, helicopter pilot. So family's got quite a bit of military in the backside.
Well,
and Pensacola is a nice area, a nice town. You get to see the Blue Angels, all that. So you got to Colorado. So in Colorado, this is a tough one. What's your favorite food to eat?
In Colorado, my favorite food to eat.
Or to go out to?
I know that's a really good question. So right now, recently, me and my girlfriend discovered Indian food, and there's this Indian food restaurant right down the street from my house that we've been going to quite frequently. Service is awesome, like just really great food. I mean, the chef makes stuff kind of particular if we want it a certain way, and so that's been a really fun experience for us. So yeah, imagine Indian food in Colorado.
I can imagine it. It's are you outside Denver? What part of Colorado?
So we live in like Centennial, which is southeast Aurora, just kind of south of Denver.
Right. Nice area down there.
Yeah, we love it down there.
Well, Stephen, I want to thank you very much for coming on the show. You're welcome back. Hopefully get back next year and see what you're doing.
Yeah, I'd love to come back, Bill. Thanks so much. I really appreciate you having me on, and I appreciate all the listeners that just took time out of their day to listen, and I hope everybody got value from something that I shared.
Well, thanks again. Hey, hold on for a second. And I do want to do an intro on this just at the end, just in case.
Yeah.
Make sure I didn't say Christopher instead of Stephen. I'm going to say, hey, Stephen, welcome to Timelines at timelinesofsuccess.com. So you got to say, hey, thank God.
Oh, I thought you were telling me that you were going to say, okay, no, go ahead.
Let's try it again. Hey, Stephen, welcome to Timelines at timelinesofsuccess.com.
Hey, Bill, thanks so much for having me on today. I really appreciate it.
This is going to be a good show, I know.
Yeah, I'm definitely looking forward to it. I think we have a lot of cool stuff to talk about today.
Well, that's a good way to finish the YouTube. Hey, I'm going to go off live. Hold a second.